Post. I want to read to you, and this is coming from a tweet from Yoni Applebaum. And who is he? He's a journalist at the Atlantic.
Jewish guy.
And he took a screenshot of the lead from this Chris Klizza piece in the Washington Post, and it was fortunate that he did because they had to change it. Listen to this, okay? And I want to get into. I want to use this to just reiterate my thoughts on Comey and the FBI, which seems to be in complete disarray right now. And I think I'm more sensitive to this than some other things, simply because I know somebody who was an assistant U.S. attorney who dealt specifically with public corruption, who told me that he actually, as a brand new assistant U.S. attorney, sat in an auditorium where James Comey got up there and said, the one thing I want you to walk out of this room with is an understanding, this is when Comey was at the DOJ, of our role in protecting the institution and not being political or engaging in anything that could be perceived as being political. I mean,
not
the outrage, honestly, the outrage from former FBI and particularly Department of Justice people is incredible, apparently. But so I want to read this. With that said, part of the problem too is like, we don't seem to have journalists. I mean, look, I don't know that much about things, generally speaking, but I don't opine on them if I don't know about them. I can do an interview and ask the professor about Yemen and about Mosul, but I'm not going to sit here and opine because I watched the movie. I saw the Battle of Algiers. Let me tell you what I think about. The reason why I say that is because here is the lead of Chris Klizza's piece on what is happening to the FBI. The FBI has long been an iconic institution in American life. From Elliot Ness, apparently spelt incorrectly, to Clarice Starling. The image of the FBI, unflappable, smart, and relentlessly fair, has been sterling.
Wow.
Relentlessly fair.
Now,
unbelievable.
For those of you people, Elliot Ness, of course, was a Treasury agent. I guess maybe a precursor to the ATF, right? Or something like that. Not an FBI agent. And Clarice Starling doesn't exist except for in those movies.
Silence of the Lambs.
Silence of the Lambs. She went after the guy who said, it will put the lotion in the basket, and was helped by that fictional character played by a British actor.
Great agent.
She was great in that movie. And she was, look, let's face it, she was also great in Bad News Bears, but that's also not, was that her, Jodie Foster in Bad News Bears? No, that was Tatum O'Neal.
No
I got them confused when they were kids.
I don't know, dude.
Nevertheless, I continue. After last week's announcement by FBI Director James Comey that the investigation into Hillary Clinton's private email server continues, it's hard to see it staying that way. Well, it's also hard to see it staying that way because it was never that way. You cite a non-FBI agent and a fictional character as to the brand of the FBI in this country, skipping over J. Edgar Hoover, for whom actually they still have buildings named, and who was perhaps, I don't know, the single longest running, most corrupt person in the history of this country. I think if you were to take a Venn diagram of like...
The longevity wins it for him, I think.
Yeah, public officials and also, and longevity, but then also put in another circle that includes like needed in a position that really, really needed some measure of integrity, right? Because this is when we have our debates with libertarians and we talk about the monopoly of force. I'm not as concerned about the government's ability to say that you have to pay taxes. Where it really becomes a problem is in law enforcement. And that's why it's such an issue. We talk about Black Lives Matter. You talk about cops who are supposed to be the one group of people in our day-to-day lives who we can go to if there's a problem. And you can't, because if you're black, you're not going to get protection or justice. You could actually, they become a source of a potential danger. That's why exactly when you have an FBI, the head of the FBI or the Attorney General, they must be beyond reproach because they are the chief law enforcement officers essentially in the country. I mean, the Attorney General is. The FBI is, I don't know, 2 or 3, maybe 2. And so the idea that they would not follow policy, this is not custom or tradition, this is policy that is not just like policy so that we can have a good process and whatnot. It is so that people can retain integrity in the fundamental aspect of our democratic system, right? That the government isn't being used in some way to determine the outcome of elections. And he completely sacrificed that principle for what? Nobody knows. It's not like we've got to let the American public know that there may be some evidence of something about something out there, possibly. Hey, it's Sam Seder. Why don't you subscribe to this channel? You can do so right over here. Subscribe.